in cars, the leftover emissions from the car, the harmful ones, there's three of them. There's hydrocarbons, there's oxides of nitrogen, and carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide's poisonous because it bonds to the things in your lungs better than O2, the oxygen that we breathe. So anyway, catalytic converters help to break that up. And there's two parts to a catalytic converter. Well, there's several parts to them. You've got just your regular tailpipe or exhaust pipe. You've got the shield to keep your catalytic converter from burning things, like the grass and whatnot under your car. Then you've got the cavity, and then you've got two different catalysts in it. This one's out of a Honda Odyssey. Look at all that platinum falling out everywhere. This one, what happens is, this is like a honeycomb style. You can either have ceramic beads or a ceramic honeycomb, and then the honeycomb has the platinum, palladium, and rhodium in it. And basically this one's just come undone, it's just not sticking to it anymore. And when the platinum, palladium, rhodium, whatever, when it's stuck to it, it only works when it's heated up. And you go through all these different temperature cycles. And basically that just means that you're cold, you warm up, you're hot, you cool down. So you have a temperature cycle. With those temperature cycles, basically they just wear out and they don't stick anymore. So no amount of washing, sometimes you can wash it if you've had a bad misfire, bad ignition coil, old spark plugs, and it gets coated with black stuff like this one is. You can see where my plasma cutter actually burned into the honeycomb, but it also cleaned it. This one was a little bit dirty, but more than anything, the stuff just come undone on it. So you can see the glitter everywhere. So this is the flow for this one. It goes through this way. So this is the primary catalyst. It's called the reduction catalyst, and what it does is it rips oxides of nitrogen. You have NO and NO2, and basically it rips the nitrogen off because this is coated with platinum and rhodium, and the nitrogen sticks to it as it's going through. Only when it's hot, got to get it warmed up. That's why some of the manufacturers like Honda, they'll have a catalytic converter that's like part of the exhaust manifold because it makes it heat up faster, but those high temperatures from the being so close to the engine causes them to wear out fast. That's why a lot of other car manufacturers, and starting in the 70s, that's all they did is they put it way far back because they're expensive with all these expensive metals in them. So they wanted them to be far from the engine so it didn't overheat and burn them out fast. So anyways, this one rips the nitrogen off, and then what passes through, eventually it creates N2 and whatever, and eventually that goes through too, and just plain nitrogen, just N. And then you've got HCs or hydrocarbons, and the hydrocarbons are burned up, and also the carbon monoxide is burned up. This is the one that gets hot, the second one in the system. And so it just gets up to high temperatures, like 500-600 degrees Fahrenheit, and basically, so you rip the nitrogen off on this one, it takes care of the NOx, and then the second one takes care of your HCs and your COs. Like I say, carbon monoxide's poisonous. Oxides of nitrogen, they're irritants to your, basically they give you a runny nose, your mucous membranes and stuff. It just makes them go nuts. It also creates acid rain. The hydrocarbons and the carbon monoxide, those are contributors to smog. So anyway, in the second one, the contents of this, again, we have platinum in both of them, but instead of rhodium and platinum, we have platinum and palladium, and basically it just gets hot.
Alright, in this video C.4.3 we're going to discuss the factors in choosing a catalyst for a process. And so this is just sort of in general, and you won't really learn how to select a actual catalyst because there's a lot of science with each catalyst. So if you were doing a specific process that you were investigating or designing, you would study that at the more advanced level. But these are some of the ideas or factors that people will sort of think about as they are going through that process of selecting the catalyst. So the first one is you're going to think about the selectivity. And the selectivity means that the catalyst that you choose is going to carry out only the desired reaction you want. So it's going to this catalyst is going to select the reactants that you want to be reacted with to create the products you wanted to create. And it's not going to perform any side reactions. So if there are other impurities or other reactants in there, you don't want that catalyst to actually also perform those reactions that gives you unwanted byproducts contaminating your products. The second factor would be thinking about the efficiency. So you want generally something that is going to do the faster reaction rate, because that's just going to save time, and ultimately if you're going to industrialize it, time is money. Conditions, you want to choose a catalyst that functions over mild and severe conditions. So just choosing something that can operate or function over a wide range of temperatures and pressures, so that it can function within different industrial setups. You also want to definitely consider the environmental impact, and so you want to choose a catalyst that can be recycled. So you might want to look into the economics and what sort of facilities are already in place or infrastructure in place for that in whatever country you're in. And that's just to prevent the potential toxicity, because many of the transition metals are actually toxic. They're heavy metals, and they will accumulate or bioaccumulate within people and other organisms' bodies. And then the last one is what you saw in the video there, the catalyst poisoning, and that's been referred to earlier in the other videos. And this happens with the heterogeneous catalysts, and this is why it was a disadvantage. So you want to try and choose catalysts that have longer lifespans or can be regenerated by removing those residues that are blocking the active sites. And so yeah, those are all of the factors that are generally considered when choosing a catalyst.